Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5 15ITL05. Alright, so this one, the hinge was having issues, but we're just going to pop it up and take a quick look inside. I'm going to use a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. I actually repaired the hinge using some epoxy JB Weld, and I'll show you that in a bit. So in this one, they have some plastic mounted to the metal framing, and that part kind of came apart and cracked the glass. So I had to JB Weld and epoxy it back into place. The customer, they didn't really care for the touchscreen, so what I did was I disconnected the touch sensor or controller, and now it just works as a normal laptop. But let me show you this, okay? I didn't have to open the bottom to work on this, but I'm just opening this so you can see what the internals look like, okay? Probably not going to take things out too much because all they needed fixed was the hinge, and that's already fixed. Alright, so now that we removed all the screws, I'm going to open this up slightly, and I'm going to get my fingernails in here, and let's see if we can pop it out this way. Yep, okay. So push on here. Make sure you don't push on the touchpad, okay? So I'm going past the touchpad and going over here. Oh, it turned itself on, so let me make sure to shut it off. I forgot there's no touchscreen. Okay, so this laptop, I kind of don't like the design that it turns itself on, but I guess if the power button breaks or something, then you have a fail-safe backup. Alright, anyways, we got this front open. So now that we got that, I'm going to close this side, and I'm going to get my fingers in here, pull it up as I run my fingernail along the side here. Okay, just like that. Going to do the same thing over here. Run my fingernail along the sides here. Okay, I cut my fingernails shorter a bit, so it's a little bit more difficult, but yeah, if you have somewhat long fingernails, this makes it a lot easier. So here you go, you got the bottom cover off. Of course, you can use plastic pry tools and stuff as well. Alright, so we're just going to take a quick look in here. I'm not really going to take things out. You have the LCD LVDS connector here, this big one, which also it splits to two cables for the digitizer as well. Wireless antenna, wait, oh, these are the speaker wires here. So speaker wires go here, plugs into this speaker, then there's another cable going along for this speaker. These aren't held in with screws, they just go up. They're held in with little rubber posts, or with these metal posts and then rubber gaskets. There's 3 screws holding this fan, it seems. One is underneath, or one post is underneath the battery, so if you need to remove it. But there's the connector for the fan. Battery connectors here, it's one of those where you have to kind of grab and wiggle. These ones are a little bit difficult. If you can use like a tool to kind of pull on this raised plastic piece here. You got the keyboard connector here. You got the touchpad, trackpad connector here. You got the keyboard backlight connector there, the brownish colored one. Actually, I'm wrong. I think this is the keyboard connector. I don't want to take this out because the battery does have this, what do you call it, like tamper-proof sticker there. Alright, you got the 2 wireless antennas here. White one's going to the white arrow, black one's going to the black arrow. And then you have the one antenna there. And then you got the other wire going to the other antenna there. Alright, let's see. Maybe I'm wrong because there's another connector here. So, okay, so this purple one goes to this board. That's for the 2 USB ports, the SD card slot, and the power button there. So if for some reason the button's not working, it could be this board, it could be this cable. Yeah, it could be a few things. To get that out, you do have to undo the hinge screws and then lift this hinge up. Okay, and what else? This little cable actually is for the fingerprint sensor, fingerprint reader there. So that leaves keyboard backlight connector here, keyboard connector here, and then touchpad, trackpad connector there. Alright, so there we go, we figured that out. And yeah, not really much else in here. It is a little dusty. This wasn't part of the repair, but I might as well kind of clean it out a little bit since I got this open. Alright. Yep. Alright. Let me clean this out real quick. I need to blow out the dust here. What happened to my little air blower thing? Oh, why is it over there? Okay, got my air blower thing. I'm gonna blow the dust out a little bit. least clean it a little. There we go. Okay, so if you are going to mess with this LCD LVDS connector, it's very important that you disconnect the battery, open up the laptop, and then press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds, all right? If you don't do that, there's a very good chance you're gonna fry the backlight circuit or the screen or even the cable, so you wanna be very careful with that, okay? Clean this dust out. If this video helps you out, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Okay, I was just cleaning the dust out of here. Okay, so we'll get the bottom cover back on. If you're wondering how to get any of these connectors out, the antennas, things like that, I do have another video. I do have a bunch of other laptop videos, thousands actually, and you can watch those and you'll be able to figure out how to do it. But the flat ones have flip latches, and then these other ones have, like, you just pull them. So like these flat cables have flip latches, and then the antennas, you go from the tail and you just pull it straight up. Oh, there's also a connector here which goes into there, which actually this one might be for the touchscreen digitizer. If it's not, it might be for the webcam and the microphone. I also forgot to mention there is an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD here. It's the half size. I don't know how they label the size, but it is one of the smaller ones. Okay, is it 2250 or something? I don't know if that's, they got some numbers here, but it's the shorter one. You can use a full-sized M.2 PCIe NVMe. I don't know why they use these tiny ones, but if you take this screw out, you can actually lift the entire bracket up, pull it out, and then you can put a new, like, full-sized M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD. The RAM is soldered to the motherboard, so you can't do anything with that, but yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get the bottom cover back on, and then I will show you guys how to remove the screen. Again, if you are removing the screen, you like disconnecting it, you do want to make sure to press and hold the power button after disconnecting the battery. Otherwise, you can fry the motherboard, you can fry the screen, you can fry the cable. So yeah, it's important that you do that. Okay. All right. So again, I'm not going to be pulling the screen out. I'll just be lifting it up so you can see underneath. And yeah, let's get all these screws back in first. And again, if this video helped you out, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices, comment, and if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. If you can't, I understand. You could always watch a few other of my videos just so that the algorithm knows to share my channel. That also helps a lot in the long run. Actually, that helps probably more than contributing a little to the channel. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and get all these screws in. And if you really enjoy my videos, if you can be a lifetime viewer, then that'll be great. Watching every one of my videos does help like crazy amount. Okay, let's get all these in. Okay, so in terms of getting the screen out, normally there's a stretch adhesive that holds the screen in place. I didn't put that adhesive back in, and you don't need to worry about it because the screen, as you can see, holds itself together just fine. Oh, it's turning itself back on. Here you can actually see the crack if I push on it. I don't know if you can see the color changing there. Yeah, so, but that's just the digitizer layer, so it's not really that big of a deal. Anyways, what I'm going to do, because this computer keeps turning itself on, I'm going to shut it down, and then we're going to flip this all the way back. You can actually see I have some plastic wrap here. That's because the fix I was doing, I used some JB Weld to get it together, and then I didn't want it to stick to this bezel. So to get this bezel out, you want to get in here. I use my fingernails. You can use a plastic pry tool, but basically you get in this between these two, you push it downwards, and then you pull it up, okay? And you want to be somewhat gentle. You shouldn't have to use too much force to get this out. So I'm just sliding my fingernails in and pulling it down that way, and you can see it tips forward and comes out just like that very easily. Okay, we got this plastic wrap. I can actually remove this now. This is just so the JB Weld didn't glue itself to the bezel. The thin film is easy to remove. And here you can see what the inside looks like. So some JB Weld was put in here and some was put over here. We're gonna go ahead and lift the screen out of the frame. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like. There are 3 screws that hold this down. We are going to switch to a JIS1. We were using a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver to remove the screws from the bottom, but now we're going to be using a JIS1 screwdriver. This part actually is detached, so actually this screw is the only one holding the screen in place right now. But yeah. Alright, again, usually if you're going to do this kind of thing, you do want to, if you're going to take the screen out completely, I'm not going to be disconnecting it, so it's okay. But if you are planning to do that, you do want to disconnect the battery. Okay, so normally the plastic thing that I removed doesn't come out. It's part of the screen here. But in this case, these ones kind of detached when it broke. All right, so here, there's normally 2 latches. I already pulled these cables out because, again, the customer didn't want to use the touchscreen. I also unplugged the touchscreen cable here and then tucked it underneath this board. So this is the touchscreen controller or digitizer controller. The screen or digitizer connects with these 2 cables to that board, and then the cable that's hidden under here plugs into this up here to go into the motherboard. Okay, so yeah, that small cable is actually for the digitizer, not the camera. And then the large cable that I said was LCD LVDS cable goes into the screen here, and then another cable goes up into the camera. Okay, so once we got those 3 screws out, there's normally some like adhesive here, like some white adhesive. It could be black as well. It could have like a little plastic tab, but they are stretch release adhesives. Let me show you an example. So, okay, so normally it would look like kind of this color, and at least the way they had it, and it was kind of like sticking out. Let me stick it on there. So it's sticking out under here, and then this part is hidden under the screen. So this kind of adhesive, the way it works is you grab it, and then when you stretch it, I'm not going to stretch from this side because I don't want to stick it all together, but as you stretch it, it releases. So as you can see, if I stretch it, it's letting go. And that's how you remove that adhesive from under the screen. Basically, you would have to peel up that adhesive, and then you would just grab it and pull it straight back. Make sure not to pull it up, because if you pull it up, it will get cut on the glass, and then you won't be able to get it out. So you have to make sure to pull it straight down, back away from the screen, parallel to the glass. So the same way the glass is like flat like this, you pull it like that. All right, now that we got all those cables out, you do have to unlatch these 2 down here to let these cables come up. But once you do that, you can lift this up. You can see it goes up like that. If you are latching these back in, you do have to push these cables down and then pull these latches up, get the cables in, and then latch it back down. You could also pull this little board out, the green board. There is adhesive underneath, so usually I don't like to pull that out if I don't have to, but it would be easier if you peel this whole board up, then you can attach it to here and then clip those cables in place, so then you can drop this whole board with that in place, and then you can attach this connector after. All right, that would be the easiest. But anyways, you can see this cable is attached here, so you want to be careful when you do this, but you lift this up slightly. If you want, you can untuck this from the cable routing, so like that, so you have a little more room to lift it up. And then this has little things that slide into the frame up here to keep the screen in place. We're gonna pull this down towards us, and that will slide it out. If it doesn't come out, you can kind of like wiggle it, but basically you have to slide that down. All right, just like that. There you go. And then you can go ahead and rotate it up. Since the cable is attached here, you don't want to lift this further, but you can rotate it this way. Here you can see the LCD LVDS with the microphone, or sorry, the webcam, and the microphone cable goes here, down there. Okay, so now that we got all of that up, we're going to flip this over, and I'm just going to let you see what the back of the screen looks like here. And you have the clips up here holding that in place that I mentioned earlier. Here you can see what the connector looks like. This you would peel here, and then you can pull that out. And I'll actually put a slideshow showing how I fix this, but here you can see underneath how we have all this saran wrap. I'll probably remove that so you can kind of see it. And then you have the screen model number there, if you need that. All right, it's B156HAN02.5. So if you need that, that's what it is. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in and show you that. Okay, so right there, B156. Oh no, it's too blurry. But B156HAN02.5. Okay, HW3A firmware 1. They also have a Lenovo part number there, ST50X22129. All right, and whatever that Winstron part number if you want to use that. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to show you the hinge mechanism now. So since I untuck this, I can actually just move the screen up a little bit further. Oops, let me zoom out, sorry. Since I untuck this, I can actually move the screen a little further from the hinges, so I can kind of show you this. Here you can see this piece that it kind of unstuck from the glass. I put some tape just to hold the shards together so it doesn't like fly everywhere. Okay, and then we have the two screws on each hinge holding this down. So we're going to remove these. I put the plastic wrap so that the JB Weld that oozed out, if you can see, I didn't want that to stick to the screen. So that's what the plastic wrap is for. And it works really well because it's super thin, so it conforms to the shape of what needs to go. All right, so there we go. Now that we undid those screws, we can carefully, what I'm going to do is hold the hinges in place, and you want to hold the screen as well, make sure it doesn't fall down. But we're going to open the screen slightly up, or the opposite direction. And then after we got it up slightly, now we can kind of let go and let this drop out, okay? This thing is a little bit tricky to get out, but when you do it, let me actually open the screen more. I'm going to use the table, so now I can hold this completely flat here. Okay, so now that we have this completely flat, you can see we can kind of maneuver this and we can wiggle it to where we can kind of swing the entire hinge up out of the way. If you're doing it, you do probably want to get it about 90 degrees or so, but here you can see we got it flat and we can actually slide this whole thing up. Oh, it's triggering the battery mechanism. Okay, so you can kind of swing this up and get that out. This side, I think I might have put a little too much JB Weld, so it's holding it more in place. So we're kind of going to leave that, but we just want to get out the plastic wrap here. So move that out of the way. We have access to the plastic wrap here, and we're just going to peel this out. I don't actually have to remove this plastic wrap, but I figured why not. So there we go. We'll just get the plastic wrap out of there. Okay. And yeah, you don't have to remove the plastic wrap here since it's like hidden. You don't really see it, but there we go. And then we're gonna get this back in. Okay, it has to angle down and then flip back. This has little raised plastic pieces that help hold it into place. And I'm gonna now just put these screws back in first. Okay. And hopefully it holds really strong. If the plastic gets completely destroyed, a lot of times I'll actually just JB Weld the hinge directly into place. But that can be a little bit more tricky with making sure everything remains aligned. But usually once I glue it, I fold it all the way backwards, not forward. I'll fold it all the way backwards so that it stays with the screen faced up. And then I can make sure it's getting the proper amount of pressure pushing down on top. And you can see the JB Weld oozed out over here and is holding in place there. Okay, so now we're going to get the plastic wrap out of here. Okay. Again, you don't really need to take this out, but I figured why not since we're opening it and taking a look. Okay, I'm going to open it more this way and see if I can kind of get a better grip here. Some of it's kind of stuck really strong in there, but it has some left over, it's okay. All right, so there we go. Get that plastic wrap out. Okay, flip it back forward, and then let's get these screws back in. Very simple, straightforward, and you can see all the JB Weld that oozed out around there as well. Okay. Alright, so here's what it looks like when it was broken. Here you can see with the plastic piece back in place. Alright, here's the plastic piece more close up. And here you can see the screen model number better. Okay, and here's the JB weld that I used. So it's 2 parts. You just got to mix it up until it's that light gray color. Alright, or dark gray. And then here's the piece again, close up. Okay, so we smear around the JB weld in there. You want a thin layer because it will ooze out everywhere. And then I put a thin amount on the back of the plastic piece. Here you can see with it in place. As we push it in, more of that stuff will ooze out, but here you can see like around the edges, some of it's oozing out already. And then I put the plastic wrap on top to prevent it from sticking to the screen and plastic pieces. Here's the other side. I was lifting it up with a popsicle stick and then pulling it up a little bit higher. Then we basically have to get JB weld under there. I put little pieces of tape over the screw holes so that way when I put JB weld it won't clog it. And then put the JB weld on it, put it underneath, and basically smushed it all down into place. See, and put the plastic wrap on there. And yeah, and now if you want as a test to test the hinges, you can close this back the opposite way. So what I'll do, I'll rest this on and I'll just fold this back. Oh, you want to be careful here. These cables are actually like popping out. Make sure that they stay within the hinge and the guides here. You don't want to accidentally destroy those cables trying to flip it back. Okay, so it's important. Make sure that follows the guides there. Okay, all right, close this all the way and there we go. So we got that. All right, so to put the screen back, obviously we're gonna have to get this in first. So I'll flip it upside down this way so I have an easier time to look at it. And then you do have to go in at an angle this way, lift it up slightly to get it over here. Okay, and then you pull this in. If it's not going in, you might have to push on here with your finger to kind of get it to go into the slots properly. And there we go. All right, so once you get all of that clicked in, you can drop that into place. Again, make sure the wires are staying within the hinge and going out here. Okay. We do want to route this back as well. All right, I'm going to put this stuff back under there. So lift that back up. Get that back under there. If you want, you can actually apply some glue to glue that part back in, but technically the one screw is good enough there holding it down. So it's okay. I don't want to add some excess glue that might cause some problems there. Okay, then we'll get this broken plastic stuff and put this back in. Okay. Just like that. Perfect. All right, and the last one in the middle. Again, I didn't replace that because the digitizer, since it's cracked, starts acting like it's tapping all over the place there. But yeah, other than that, let's get the little plastic bezel back in and we're good to go. So plastic bezel, super easy to get back in. You basically start with the bottom angled like this, line it up, make sure the bottom gets all tucked in, and then we just tip it back down. Okay, so make sure again that this goes in first. You can start with one side, go like that, click it. Okay, again, tuck all of this in and then work your way over just like this. Okay, you kind of have to push it down this way as you're pushing it in. And same thing with this one. Get that all tucked in. And there we go. All right. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you did want to replace the screen, you can replace this whole screen as well. It comes with the digitizer and the LCD panel. Basically, again, you do have to disconnect the battery before pulling that cable and holding the power button. That's very important. Hold the power button after. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And hopefully this video helped. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Look at all these little cute stickers. All right, let's drop this. Bye.